Bojack Horseman series ended in 2020 after 6 glorious seasons. Ever since, there have been numerous speculations and rumors circulating about the potential revival of the show, but no concrete plans or announcements have been made by the creators or the streaming platform. However, since Bojack managed to survive his last selfish self-destructive act, it would be fun to run a thought experiment on how the show could go on if there is ever going to be a follow-up on the series. Now, in the last episode, we witnessed some significant changes in the characters' attitudes and living conditions. Mr. Peanut Butter became quite famous and gained some closure on his failed relationships. Princess Carolyn finally struck a balance between her career and love life. Diane came to terms with her pessimism and chose to accept life as it is. And finally, Bojack found comfort in the routine of prison life. So it might seem like there is not enough room for self-improvement for the characters, which is a big problem for a show that revolves around the idea of existential problems. But don't worry, we still have Bojack and his extensive history of past mistakes and harsh life experiences. Also, the personal growth of other characters are mostly reversible. Mr. Peanut Butter has to start dating again, and it's only a matter of time before Diane starts reminiscing about how meaningless life is and how she has wasted her time with Guy and she is not good enough for him. So let's begin by re-evaluating Bojack's situation, what might haunt him, and the hypothetical scenarios that can spice things up in the revival series. After that, we look at some marginal characters that had the potential to play a more significant role in the series. In the last season, we saw that Bojack went broke due to some lawsuits. He also removed his royalties from horsing around and had to live with Mr. Peanut Butter for a while. So Bojack is not going to enjoy his financial securities like before. This can already push Bojack's reset button and push him toward his old self-sabotaging behaviors. For one thing, at least for a while, he might have to live with Mr. Peanut Butter again, which is a problem since Bojack finds him unnerving and cannot stand being around him for a long time. Moreover, with no steady income, Bojack needs to quickly find a job. The best option for him might be to teach acting, like he did at Wesleyan University. But because his reputation has been damaged, it is highly unlikely for any university or institution to hire him. So he may be forced to return to acting again, and we know for a fact that acting never brings up the best in Bojack. Returning to the toxic Hollywood acting scene could serve as a painful reminder of his past struggles with alcohol and the constant criticisms he was facing from his mother regarding his career and life choices. This situation may reignite Bojack's inner conflicts. Now let's discuss a few Bojack's past errors that might still be a source of ongoing trouble for him. Undoubtedly, Bojack's most selfish act was instigating Sarah Lynn to relapse, which ultimately led to her tragic death. While this incident might have faded from the public's memory, it can resurface and haunt Bojack. Perhaps the most dramatic scenario would be if a movie were made about Sarah Lynn's life and tragic death. And who better to direct this movie than the talented Kelsey Jennings, who was also impacted by Bojack. In this case, Bojack would once again become the target of media and public outrage. Charlotte, Penny, Gina, Bradley, and Diane are individuals who have been affected by Bojack's selfishness in various ways, and their return to the show can put Bojack under pressure. Let's not forget that Bojack's relationship with many other people like Princess Carolyn, Todd, and even Mr. Peanut Butter is fragile, and if something happens that reminds them of Bojack's mistakes, they may distance themselves from him to protect themselves. Another challenge for Bojack is taking responsibility. A concept that seems to be a central theme in the movie and is of course considered one of Bojack's significant weaknesses.
I'm responsible for my own happiness. I can't even be responsible for my own breakfast.
You definitely remember that Bojack had sex with countless women during his acting career in horsing around and even afterwards.
Your mom, was her name Karen?
Can we drop it?
Something with a K.
Her name is Nora. My parents got a divorce because of you.
Nora. I don't know. I banged so many chicks in the 80s.
And it wouldn't be surprising if we find that Bojack has a child in their 20s or 30s. The introduction of this child could be gradual and mysterious, much like what we did here and you probably didn't notice it, or it could be more sudden and intense. Perhaps the most interesting scenario is that Bojack Jr. is also an actor who steals Bojack's favorite roles and seeks revenge in this way. In any case, to Bojack, meeting his child can be a reminder of his parents' failure in raising and caring for their children. Especially his father, Bojack Horseman, who abandoned Hollyhock altogether and never even mentioned her. We previously saw Bojack's reaction to having a child when he thought Hollyhock was his daughter. But now that he's older and tries to get his life together, he may be better equipped to deal with this issue. Commitment and taking responsibility has always been a terrifying and anxiety-inducing prospect for Bojack. So it remains to be seen whether he can find enough courage and determination in himself to take control of his life, or just like the way he let down Sarah Lynn, Bradley, and Todd, who considered Bojack a father figure, he might disappoint his own child as well. Another topic that would be explored is Bojack's romantic life. Perhaps we finally get to see Bojack and Diane together. As we mentioned, Diane's situation is not very satisfying and there is a constant possibility of her separating from Guy. In this case, her vulnerability after getting divorced for the second time and her shared values with Bojack can spark an unexpected connection between them. The presence of Diane's ex-husband, Mr. Peanut Butter, and the conflicting feelings he has for Bojack can make for an intriguing storyline. Speaking of Mr. Peanut Butter, he has never entered into a relationship with someone as self-centered and oblivious as himself. And such a relationship can show him how his negligence and overenthusiasm affect others. Before we move on to the next part, if you enjoyed this video and like to see more of our content, press the subscribe button at the bottom right corner. Paige Sinclair is the first character that we believe has great potential to make the show more interesting. We only see her in a few episodes of the last season. Yet her old-fashioned way of speaking, mannerisms, and unique cleverness she possesses set her apart from many other characters. It's clear that she is highly skilled in her job and can shake things up in the story by pulling the strings behind the scenes. The presence of such a character can create a unique sense of excitement about revealing secrets and turning the tables on others. The next character is Hollyhock, who decided to cut off her relationship with Bojack forever after his interview with Biscuits Braxby. Although her decision made sense logically, considering that Bojack is her only sibling, it seemed somewhat cruel and shocking. Especially because during that time, Bojack was doing his best to improve his life after rehab. Hollyhock appears to be a shy and kind girl whose life is under her control due to the love and care she received from her fathers.
Are you sure you want to know? I don't know if Bojack is ready for a normal relationship with anyone.
Oh, well, that's fine. I don't want a relationship. I already have 8 dads. It's not like a 9th dad is what I need to suddenly fill a hole in my life that the unconditional love of 8 dads couldn't already fill.
However, in reality, just like Bojack, she is a confused horse, constantly questions herself and her decisions, and sometimes even suffers from anxiety attacks. So she has more in common with Bojack than one might think. In case she returns to the series, her performance can significantly affect the audience perspective on Bojack. If she can manage her life as she did before, she might convey the message that Bojack's mistakes were a result of his own bad decisions. On the other hand, if we see that Hollyhock's confusion and self-blame lead to bad decisions, it can elicit more empathy for Bojack's actions. Among the other characters in the show, Cuddly Whiskers, Kelsey Jennings, Dr. Champ, and Anna Spanakopita are individuals that can be further explored. So, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below which characters should have a more prominent presence in the series and what is your plan and vision for the new season.